Okay, we'll start. Alrighty. Hey everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. Super excited to see people starting to jump on. My name's Fred. I'm the product lead for our premium and pro products. I'm joined today by Sam, who's our senior PM for premium and pro products. And so, very excited to have a webinar with you all today. We're going to do a walkthrough of some new tools, but really just spend most of the time on an open Q&A for the rest of the call. And if anyone has any questions as we go through and demo some new products and features, feel free to just send those questions into the chat and we'll take a look at them after we do the quick demo and we'll start answering your questions there. So yeah, feel free as we go through the demo to put in any questions that you have directly into the chat and we'll get those answered right then and there. And then just as a reminder, this is being recorded and will be sent out to everyone who signed up for it afterwards as well. So that's just some housekeeping. I got to do one more housekeeping item, which is just read our disclosure. And that is right here. So past performance is no guarantee of future results. Any views or opinions expressed in the webinar do not reflect those of Seeking Alpha as a whole. Any content and tools on the platform are offered for information purposes only. Seeking Alpha Portfolio is a tool for tracking news and analysis and does not constitute a brokerage account or enable any trading activity. Seeking Alpha does not take account of your objectives or your financial situation, does not offer any personalized investment advice. Seeking Alpha is not a licensed securities dealer, broker, U.S. investment advisor, or investment bank. Awesome. And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sam to kick off with some new features that we've just rolled out. And as a reminder to everyone, feel free to send your questions into the chat as we go along here and we'll answer them after the demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Fred. And like Fred mentioned, I'm a part of the product team at Seeking Alpha. So I want to spotlight a few different features that have been recently released. And we'll start with screeners. And then we're also going to take a look at the new note-taking feature for portfolios. So just going to share my screen here. Okay. And Fred, are you able to see it?
Yes.
Cool. So one of the features that's been released recently for screeners is fairly interesting. It's called Hot Themes. So what we have pulled up here is the top rated stocks screen that you can find on the left navigation pane. And if we want to enable this, what we can do is go to Advanced Filters. And then you'll see this new category here called Hot Analysis Themes. So if you select this and have it enabled, what this will do is allow you to filter by various categories of analysis articles that are recently trending. So right now we have 46 results. If we click this filter and look at some of the available categories, if we click AI tech, what this will do is this will pull all of the symbols that have been recently mentioned in analysis articles in the past 60 days. So this can be a really interesting way just to find ideas for different symbols that have been recently mentioned. So here under these current filters, we'll see 4 results. So these are 4 symbols meeting the following criteria that have been mentioned in the past 60 days. So one thing to remember is sometimes it casts a little bit of a wide net. It's based on symbols that have been mentioned in analysis articles, but again, just a super interesting way to come up with new investment ideas and find what people have been recently talking about. So one other one I want to look at is if we switch gears and go to the ETF screener. Um, I'll cover this in a second, but one thing I want to highlight is this actually came up in our last webinar as user feedback, but we added the ability to add Seeking Alpha analyst ratings as well. So previously, this was something that was not available for ETFs, but if we go to the filters and go to ratings, we can now enable Seeking Alpha analyst rating to show up for ETFs as well. And some ETFs may not be covered, but this is a really valuable way to get additional insight into how all of the different authors for Seeking Alpha feel about some of the different ETFs that we have available. And then if we back up a step, This is an interesting one. So all of you are getting a bit of a preview on a feature that will be released in the next few days or so. But we've redesigned the landing page to make it a little bit more interesting, easier to find what you're looking for all of the screeners that are pre-built. So in this case, ETFs. And then if we go to the stock screener, you'll see a similar landing page that's been redesigned. Again, we're super excited about this. We think it'll make the experience a little bit more interesting and engaging. But you'll have all of the popular screeners that you're used to seeing, but now in a different format. And one other thing I want to cover here, if we switch gears, I mentioned that the notes experience has been redesigned as well. So if we go to an example symbol like Apple, most of you are hopefully familiar with being able to add custom notes for either symbols or symbols that are in your portfolio. But if we actually click on Add Note, we've redesigned the entire interface. So now you can actually take multiple notes and include reminders for yourself as well. So here we've got an old one for Apple. And if we wanted to set a reminder for this, for example, calling out their upcoming earnings, if you go to Add Reminder at the bottom here, we can select whatever day we'd like to be notified about it. So let's say a few days in advance. We can click the date, click the time, and then you can also choose if you'd like to be notified via email or have a mobile alert as well. So again, just a super interesting way to take more detailed notes for any of the securities, either at the individual level, or you can do this from your portfolio as well. And just to show you what that looks like, let's jump into an example portfolio. So we just took a note for Apple, and here we'll see that with a little icon as well. So you can either go directly to the symbol page, or you'll have this icon as a pop-up on any of the securities that are in your portfolios as well. So yeah, super excited about it. And like Fred mentioned, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to add those in the chat as well. But yeah, Fred, I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, the walkthrough that you just gave is awesome. A lot of new screeners functionality that we're rolling out. We're going to be rolling out even more screeners functionality as well, adding additional filters, adding the ability to view columns as opposed to just filter by them. So view only columns plus filterable columns. So that'll be great, as well as the portfolio notes functionality that Sam just demoed. Super excited about that. So with that, I think we can jump into some of the questions here that we're getting. There's one question in here. Is there a feature in Seeking Alpha that shows an earnings tracker, like the members of QQQ, and how many have beaten or missed their latest earnings and by how much? So you can do that via the symbol page for tickers, and I'll go ahead and just share my screen and show you how to do that. And you can see this, right, Sam?
Yep, all good.
Yep. Cool. Cool. Okay. So QQQ is the example. I'll go ahead and just search that in the search bar at the top. And then what you can do on the symbol page, you can see there's a lot of key data on the symbol page. If you scroll down, you'll go to a section about the holdings. So we have a holdings breakdown here, which shows you the holdings breakdown by sector, as well as the top 10 holdings within QQQ. So this makes up about 50%. You can't directly do what you just asked in your question on this page, but you can go to any of the symbol pages of these tickers, for example, like opening, a new tab or something like that, and basically take you to, for example, the NVIDIA page, and you can go then to the earnings tab. When you click on the earnings tab, it does show you latest quarter's earnings, when they announced, how much they beat by, and the revenue surprise, and when their upcoming earnings are as well. So this is one way you can do what you're talking about specifically within ETFs. You can basically go, symbol page by symbol page, open in a new tab, click on the earnings tab, and kind of see what the earnings were of each one of those based on, the stock that you're looking at within the ETF. So that's one way to accomplish kind of what you're talking about there. Let's see, we've got another question in here. Can we easily filter out stocks under 50 and 1 million or more shares traded per day? So one thing you can do within the screeners, if you go over to stock screeners, and maybe I'll just pick on like top rated stocks, you can add different data points within the screener. And one that I think might be similar to what you're talking about is volume. So weekly shares volume. So you can add that in. Um, and basically you can then click on something. You can click on the weekly volume per shares item here and kind of like increase the, percentage to just be over five or something like that to greater than 5%. Um, and that will, if you click done, bring up a list of, weekly volume per shares that are pretty high. You can sort and kind of see weekly volume out of shares, what's been being sold a bunch. So that's one way to accomplish what you're talking about via the screeners. And then you can kind of add these to your portfolio really easily by just clicking that button, or you can actually save this screener and name it, whatever you want, and save it, and it'll come on the kind of left nav of your screen there. So when you are in, whenever this updates, you can see it here on the left nav, and you can come back to it on a regular basis. So that's one thing you can do there. Let's see, what else do we have? So here's one in here. Do I get a message if a company gets a strong buy? So that's a great question and something we have kind of improved functionality on. You can set rating alerts for different stocks on the symbol page, and you can actually do it on the portfolio page now for your entire portfolio as well. So I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to go into one of my portfolios here. I'm going to go into the growth portfolio. You can see I have a bunch of tickers in here and a bunch of data associated with those tickers and within the portfolio. If I want to set a rating alert for all of these tickers at once, what I can do is click in the top right corner here. I can click Manage Alerts. And what'll happen is it'll load up a modal that basically asks me if I want to set quant, SA analyst, or Wall Street analyst rating alerts, and if I want to do that for mobile push notifications or for emails. So basically, I can have all these set as default. Maybe I don't want one of these or something like that. I'll remove that. But you can see this is a rating alert for quant ratings, and once I hit save, that'll be updated, and now you'll see it here as an active kind of alert that you could get, which basically says whenever any of these stocks change their quant rating alert, you'll get a notification. You'll either get an email notification or a push notification to your phone, depending on the ones that you set up. And so easy to do for an entire batch of tickers here. Basically, you just come into manage alerts. You can see the quant one set up. If I hit new alerts, I can then set that alert for SA analyst ratings as well. So if one of these companies were to change to a strong buy, I'd be able to get that alert right off the bat by hitting save. You can also do it on the symbol page pretty easily. So if you go to a common stock like Apple or something like that, and you hit this alerts icon in the top right, you'll be able to see a little bit more detail on what the current ratings are, and you can basically select which type of rating you want the alert for. For example, if I want to get an alert whenever the quant rating for Apple changes, I'll select quant, and then we just have some data down here that shows kind of the SA quant rating performance compared to the S&P 500 and things like that. When I hit save, again, you'll see that is updated there and is active, so that whenever that rating changes, you'll get an alert there.
And Fred, also while you're sharing your screen, we've got two other questions related to screeners. So
Hmm.
maybe if you quickly navigate to screeners. The first
Yeah,
one was, how do I remove a screener after I've saved it? And the second one was how to add market cap to top rated stocks or any screen. So if
cool.
we could look at the saved screens.
Yeah. So basically, you can see on this page, we've got Seeking Alpha Screeners, which has these different preset screeners, and then a tab called My Screens. If you click on My Screens, you'll see the different screeners that you've saved in here. You can edit them with the pencil icon. You can then click the trash icon to remove them. You can also copy them and send them basically. So what I could do here is basically go over to, the trash icon, and then it'll ask me to delete this, and I can go ahead and do that. So that's how you remove one of your pre-save screens already. And if you go back to Seeking Alpha screens, let's say for the top rated stocks or something like that, for market cap, You can see in the search results here, these are all the different things we're filtering by. So quant rating, SA analyst, Wall Street rating, valuation, profitability, all of our grades. If you click on advanced filters, that'll bring you to the page to kind of add in additional details. I'm actually going to maybe like remove some of them just to, get it down a little bit more. And I'm going to click on market cap. And so if I hit done, you'll see now the filters have updated and market cap is one of the items that I'm updating or filtering by here. And if I click market cap, I can then change the parameters to what I actually want to, filter by for market cap. So for example, if I want to do like 100 billion, that'll go ahead and do that. Or you can just enter in manually the actual number in here. And when you hit done, those results will update. You can sort by market cap, so you can look at like the largest market cap ones or the smallest market cap ones as well. And to the point that I mentioned a few minutes ago about continuously making improvements to the product, we're continuously making improvements to the screeners page where we're going to add in some kind of easier functionality for you to be able to easily select things like market cap. So, for example, you can just easily click small, mid, or large cap so that it's easy to filter those as well. So, more to come on that and how we're going to improve the screener experience.
Yeah, and maybe just an interesting one earlier in the chat, Fred. Someone was curious about, can you explain the rating summary for essay analyst versus quant ratings, and kind of the high level difference between those as well?
Yeah, totally. So maybe let's go to Apple again. So if we go to the symbol page for Apple and we click on the ratings tab, what you can see is we're brought first to the quant ratings tab. And this is basically our, quant system updating its rating for this specific stock every single day and looking at, the different grades for each grade for Apple. So for example, in here you can see it's been a hold for quite some time, and that's based on the underlying grades of this specific stock. I'll actually probably go to one that maybe has changed. Let's look at this Sky West. So this one's changed a bit from bias to strong bias, but you can see every single day we're coming out with a quant rating that's based on the quant system and running, our quant system and the analysis to give you a strong buy, hold, sell, strong sell. And if you go over to the essay analyst tab, you can actually see how that rating has been derived here in the analyst breakdown section. So, whereas this is the quant rating systems, showing what the quant rating is every single day based on our factor grades, SA analyst ratings are based on our analysts who are actually writing analyses and providing grades in their analyses on this stock. So, we're taking analyses from the last 90 days and we're taking the average of those to show you what the rating of this stock would be. So that means while this is a strong buy right now from a quant perspective, it's a buy from an SA analyst perspective because there's been three buy analyses in the last 90 days and one hold in the last 90 days. And that's just indicative of what our analysts are writing about right now. And if you scroll down, you can see the actual analysts who wrote about this and what their ratings were. So that's kind of the difference. The SA analyst rating is based on in the last 90 days who has actually written about this and what are their ratings. And the quant rating system is updating based on our quant system every single day, based on the five factor grades that you see here. One question I saw is how to remove or add countries. So if we go into the stock screener and have top rated stocks, we can go in and add country. So I just added it to the top here. And if I click this button, what you can see is right now there's the ability to add in, whatever country you want from this list. So if you click it, you'll be able to include them, but you can also exclude. And so one of the questions was, I see that I can add a country, but what if I want to see exclusions of countries? So that's something that you can do in here by just saying, typing in the United States and saying excludes United States, or typing in, China or something like that and excluding China. And so once you hit done, you'll see the kind of filter, update that and exclude. As you can see on the right here, the country is different for each one of those. And again, based on what I mentioned earlier, that's something that we're going, apologies, something that we're going to improve is making it a little bit easier to select and deselect countries. But today, if you want to exclude a specific country, that's how you would do it there in the country filter with the excludes and includes radio buttons there.
And while you have that up, Fred, someone else asked about industry specifically. So that's one of the first categories as well.
Yeah, so if you click on advanced filters, you can see there's the option here to select sector and industry. So if you click that, and I'm going to move it actually in the order. If you reorder these, they'll show up from left to right based on your order on your screeners page. And if you click there, you can basically see sector and industry for all the different stocks in here. So semiconductors, movies and entertainment, investment banking, ground transportation. So you can basically see all of those, and you can save, for example, if you wanted to just see, let's go into the sector filter here and maybe just select, oil and gas or something like that. Maybe take away a couple of these. Maybe there aren't any that are available in this category. No, China. Hmm. We'll select a different one. Uh, just energy in general. So if we select energy and hit done, then we can see all the energy stocks that have a buy rating in the Seeking Alpha system today.
And we did get a question about tracking dividends.
Yep.
So I'm happy to share my screen real quick, Fred. We can pull up the dividend ribbon real fast.
Sure. Go ahead.
And are you able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this one we have covered in past webinars, but it's good to spotlight it again. So on the dividends tab in your portfolio, there's a fairly new feature that's the dividend metrics ribbon. And what this is going to do is spotlight key metrics related to dividends for your entire portfolio. So here we have an average for these metrics across all the holdings in the portfolio. One of the most useful that I think is the estimated annual income. So this is calculating of the five stocks that I have that are paying dividends that I have holdings in, and then the total amount that we would expect from that. And for tracking any individual stock, we could pick Apple, for example. You can always go to the dividends tab on the symbol page for any stock and also look at things like their dividend history, to see what their last payouts were. And you can also look at the different grades in their scorecard using our quant rating system. So this is how we benchmark them against other stocks and how well they're performing in the field of dividends. So good one to be aware of as well. And yeah, if you're a dividend investor, I think that ribbon at the portfolio level is going to be especially helpful for you.
Nice. Awesome. I did see one other question in here. Do the analysts have scorecards? So, for example, those analysts that have performed better than others, almost like a batting average. So, we do have a page today that kind of shows the top analysts based on their performance and kind of their numbers. I'll send that in the chat right now, and then I'll share my screen. So, I just put it in the chat. So, that's the page. And I'm going to share my screen and show you this top analyst page, which is basically kind of a page to go to for ideas on who you should follow, who might be interesting. So you can basically see if you go to this top page, the top section where it says filter by top, you'll see a list of these top analysts, kind of their name, kind of their return over the period that we're looking at, what themes they cover, the latest coverage that they have. If you click on that, you can actually get taken to the article and see how this has been doing. For example, this person wrote about Park Aerospace. Since they've written the article, it's been up 15%, and the S&P 500 has been up just a little bit, 0.12%. So it's kind of a good way to show, as you mentioned, the scorecard or the batting average for these analysts. And you can go through and kind of see if any of these are interesting to you. You can just basically hit the follow button, and then you'll be following that analyst. And whenever this analyst posts, you'd get an email or a notification indicating that that person's posted something and you can go in and check them out. So I just sent the link in the chat. And if people are interested in checking that out, feel free to do so to kind of follow more analysts that might interest you based on the themes.
And we also got a question about comparing closed-end funds, but maybe more broadly, we could just look at the comparison tool in general, and pull up two stocks and how we can differentiate that from something like advanced charting.
So I just click comparisons, and if you go to kind of some of our pre-made comparisons in here, you can see that, you can compare maybe like a bunch of different stocks in here in the semiconductor space. And if you go down, you look at all of their kind of details about market cap, enterprise value, as well as their performance. So you can see kind of the difference in performance over time and how maybe some of them different than others based on the time period. Probably pretty similar, for semiconductors, but some obviously are a lot different. And then we can also see ratings across those as well. So that's useful to see the quant SA analyst and Wall Street analyst ratings there, as well as their quant ranking, basically showing their sector rank out of all the stocks in the sector. And then factor grades too, so the underlying grades within each one of those. Trading numbers as well. That's valuable to see the 52-week high, low, the weekly volume of shares, and return numbers. So you can go into the comparisons tool and really add any comparisons that you'd like. You can click edit symbol and then go ahead and kind of like, remove some if you want, add other ones that are recommended. And that's something that you can then, see for yourself and save. And then you can come back to the comparisons tool. And if, you're interested, you can see those in your save section too.
And we also got a question about enabling candlestick charts, which for right now is actually the default value for advanced charting, but it could also be helpful just to take a look at kind of adjusting some of those settings and views for advanced charting.
Yeah, so if you go to a symbol page like Intel, you can see there's a button here on the right called Advanced. And if you click on that, it brings up the Advanced Charting tool. And that's basically showing you the candlestick chart as a default. And then you can basically look at, different time ranges as well, which will change based on what you click. And you can add, different indicators in here that are, popular, that people use all the time to easily convey different details. And you can go full screen pretty quickly on here as well to use additional tools like the drawing tool, where if people are interested in drawing, they can, do that as well. So some cool functionality with the advanced charting and the candlestick graph there. Okay, well, we're about at time. Just as a reminder, this will be sent out as a recording to everyone after the fact. Really appreciate everyone joining the call. And look out for more of these in the future, as well as more improvements to the product and the features that we'll launch in the coming months. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Bye.